Hello, I'm Jack Nichols and welcome to highlights of the 2010 AutoGP Formula SimRacing World Championship. The penultimate round of the championship is the Brazilian Grand Prix, held at the famous Interlagos circuit. Apart from being extremely bumpy, this track is known for its relatively steep hills and the contrasting high-speed outfield section and slow infield section. Bruno Marquez secured his fourth pole position of the season ahead of Patrick de Vit, who surprisingly set his best qualifying result of the year. Jarkko Mykkänen and Rasmus Tali made up the second row of the grid in front of Atte Kirchhoff and Mikko Puumalainen. Both Bono Huis and Ronnie Hannell would start from the pit lane after being penalised for a rule breach at Suzuka. With pole position being on the outside, the start was always going to be interesting. Marquez just held on to the first position, but de Vit made slight contact into the first corner, with Marquez doing well not to lose control. Tali managed to get around Mykkänen and the rest of the field made it safely through the centre S. Onto the main straight, de Vit stayed alongside Marquez, but Marquez did just enough to drive around the outside and affirm himself in first place. His lead was short-lived though, when de Vit used the toe to make a simple pass into turn 1. On lap 3 it was Marquez's turn to use the slipstream, and he sailed past de Vit down the start-finish straight. However, de Vit hit the brakes too late into the centre S, and he ran straight into the back of Marquez, sending him careering into the wall. With such a hard impact, the Twister racing car had no chance of repair, and a livid Marquez was forced to retire. Rasmus Tali was now in the lead, ahead of teammate Jarkko Mykkänen. Atte Kirchhoff was in third place, driving Twister Racing's only remaining car, ahead of Ghost Speed's Dennis Hurl in fourth. In fifth position, Marco Conti was desperately defending his position against Mikko Puumalainen, and after some entertaining side-by-side driving, Puumalainen soon came out in front. Making his return to FSR after a long absence, Domagoj Malezic then also became involved in the fight for fifth place, with the Croatian eventually passing both drivers. After a pit lane start, it only took Bono Huis 8 laps to catch the tail end of the field, and with a clear track, the 2010 champion was eating nearly half a second per lap out of the front runners. Tali, Kirchhoff and Malezic were the first of the front runners to pit, using a two-stop strategy, while the majority of the field was only stopping once. Unfortunately, Kirchhoff did not slow down in time to avoid breaching the pit speed limit, and the Dutchman was served with a drive-through penalty. Jarkko Mykkänen was now comfortably leading ahead of Dennis Hurl, with Puumalainen and Conti continuing their impressive battle over third place. Having already made one stop, Tali made his way around Puumalainen and Conti, with the Estonians solidly placed to take the podium position. After all the one-stoppers had made their move in the pits, it was becoming clear whose strategy had worked and whose hadn't. Tali was now in the lead, but he had failed to secure a significant gap ahead of Mykkänen. Dennis Hurl was fortunate not to be held up by Malezic, making a crucial overtake for third on his outlap, and almost unbelievably, Bono Huis had charged up the field into fifth position. Tali made his second stop and emerged effectively in seventh place, but quickly made it back up into sixth, with a bold pass on Marco Conti into the hairpin. Malezic's second stop was a disaster, with the Croatian also breaching the pit lane speed limit and getting a drive-through penalty. Mykkänen remained in first place with a small but consistent 3-second lead over Hurl. Puumalainen was running in third ahead of Tali and Huis, but with fresher tyres, Tali had no difficulty in reeling in Puumalainen, and once in range of a slipstream, Tali made a simple pass into turn 1. Huis, who was consistently setting lap times more than half a second faster than the other front runners, also caught and passed Puumalainen, the Finn having no hope of defending the position. Never one to give up until the end, Huis was eyeing up the third step on the podium, and as he continued with his incredible pace, he soon came within striking distance of teammate Tali. With just 3 laps remaining, Huis attempted an outside pass, and the following few corners saw both drivers going side by side, with Huis eventually coming unstuck into Pinheirino. A strong toe allowed Huis to get back alongside and make a gutsy pass into the centre S, but Tali refused to relinquish the position, and the two cars would again drive side by side through the Descida del Lago. With both cars on the ragged edge, Huis sealed the deal into turn 8 with a bold move up the inside. Tali ran wide and lost his chance for third place. Running a very strong race despite being constantly under pressure from behind, Jarkko Mykkänen took his second victory of the season, gaining a valuable 25 points in the process. Dennis Hurl put in a solid performance to finish in second, and Bono Huis' outstanding charge from the pit lane and onto the podium had the spectators rubbing their eyes in disbelief. Rasmus Tali held on to fourth place ahead of Mikko Puumalainen, and further back, Marco Conti was penalised post-race for contact with Atte Kirchhoff in the closing stages. The battle for second in the championship will be settled in the final round, with Marquez, Tali, Mikkonen and Hanel all within reach of the silver trophy. Boumelainen has now passed Greco for 6th place, and Malajic's return could see the Croatian hold on to 8th, with Hurl just 3 points behind. Second place in the Constructors' Championship will also come down to the final round, with Twister Racing holding on by a tiny margin, now with just a 3-point lead over MacCorp. SB Motorsports have been in 4th place for most of the season, but they're now under significant pressure from Go Speed Racing, who are just 10 points behind. The next round will be the final round of the 2010 season, held at Abu Dhabi. Tune in at 5:25 PM GMT on the 31st of October for the multi-BC broadcast. To watch the action live, go to www.formula-simracing.net and follow the links to the live broadcast. We hope you've enjoyed this presentation. I'm Jack Nichols, and we'll see you next time for the final round of the 2010 AutoGP FSR World Championship.